When I open the door and step into the carriage, January greets me warmly.
Hello.
Welcome back. I hope Kia hasn't given you any trouble. Not really. Glad to be back with you, Piper. What did Kia say to you? I'm certain you could guess. You're the smartest person in our group, and Kia is rather predictable. She smiles, but I can't tell if she is genuinely pleased with my compliment or not. I certainly can hazard a guess. Well, I better get to the controls. Someone's got to drive this thing. She moves into the control piston near the front of the vehicle, then begins flipping switches and things to get it fired up. The steam engine roars, and the whole vehicle shudders as it comes to life. Piper picks up the radio and presses a button. This is Piper calling Kia. You read me? Kia's voice crackles out of the radio. I hear ya. Sound quality's not so good on these things either. Yeah, how about you be grateful we have them at all? How about your police station stop having such low quality equipment, Kia? Piper laughs slightly. No need to get so uptight about it. Piper out. She clicks off the radio and sets it aside, focusing again on the controls. She pushes the lever and the steam carriage chugs forward. January looks out the window with a grim expression. I shake my head. As usual, he can think of nothing but his own petty concerns. Damn, Buffalo. You're really trying to throw your best friend under the bus at this point. 2 days, just 2 days. I turn my gaze toward the front where Piper is driving and happily sigh. Yes, 2 days. 2 days of you having to let Piper drive and just be normal. Because you have to act like a bodyguard, which means you have to actually act like a bodyguard. Let's make a save real quick, because I'm just gonna like look at the... Yeah, it's been about an hour, so if I'm doing these in half-hour increments, then it's better to save and that be the marking of when I end each episode. I'm not exactly sure. There's like something I've ordered that I'm hoping will be done by the time I'm uploading these to YouTube for the thumbnail. So hopefully, like when the video actually goes up, which I'll be putting these videos up earlier than the normal videos I upload, because normally I upload my videos around 8 PM. So like for these ones, I'll try doing around 2 PM, hopefully. Maybe 3 or 4 if a video that I have rendering takes too long. Because like the Destiny videos have been taking a while to load or render. Since, you know, I've kind of been shoving them into hour-long episodes, sort of. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's keep playing. The carriage rattles along as it moves, but the ride is smooth enough. Despite it being the peak of the afternoon, it is rather dark inside the passenger compartment. We must keep the windows covered at all times on the off chance anyone is around, which is perfectly fine with me. I already have a flawless view. Keeping all my focus on my Piper, I immediately noticed her reach for the radio speaker again and begin talking to Kia.
So then.
How do you want to use these radios? Should we leave them on all the time, or turn them on only when we need to talk with you? I wouldn't want to distract you with our conversations. Right, about that. The radios have to remain on the entire time, and there will be no chatting. Keep things as quiet as possible. You expect us to spend the whole day in silence?
Yes.
Unless it's an emergency, no one should say anything. You being serious? Yes, they are being serious. I almost said he. Damn it. Did you not hear me the first 2 times? You cannot blame me for needing something so extreme reaffirmed. What kind of requirement is that? I need things quiet so I can pay attention to the surroundings and notice possible dangers. What is more important than that? Finally being able to have a full conversation with Piper. Wow, Buffalo. I like you, but I am noticing a lot of your flaws. You are selfish. And you try to bring other people down for being selfish. Seriously, Buffalo. Nothing, of course, but I don't believe what you're asking is necessary for our safety. Well, I do, and it shouldn't matter if it's on or not. You'll have plenty of time to chat with your boss after this trip is over, and there isn't anyone else you should want to talk to. I dig my fingers into the lining of my seat and glare vehemently at the radio speaker. I am so upset it matters not at all that it's an entirely useless endeavor, and Kia is not only somewhere else, but they wouldn't be able to notice my look even if they were in the carriage, considering I always wear a mask. It's the thought that counts, as they say. Some of it tried going down the wrong tube. I apologize. Anyways. I understand. We'll be very, very quiet. Piper makes a casual motion that causes January to gasp. He then starts to chuckle softly. What happened? She turned the radio off. Ahaha, that's wonderful. You're wonderful.
Don't mention it.
Literally. Clever. I clicked twice. Okay, but it only worked once. This is nice, but won't Kia know you shut it off? Piper takes her hand off the controls for a moment to face us directly. Actually, no. This model doesn't have an indicator showing whether the under end is on or off. Since theirs is presumably still on, we'll be able to hear Kia, and can turn it back on to respond when needed. But for now, they won't be able to hear us.
Honestly?
So you don't mind us having a conversation? Well, that depends on what the conversation is about. I cannot help but be amazed by how she was able to handle the situation. You're dazzling. Indeed, very cunning of you, Piper. Don't give me too much credit yet. I didn't do it just for fun and games. There's something important we need to discuss, and it's for the best to keep Kia out of the loop, if you understand me. Uh-oh. Piper wanting to speak with me is more than enough. It doesn't matter what the subject is. Piper turns back to the road ahead, but continues to address us. So, Duke, why did you cover for Seer? She addressed the question to him, and that's disappointing. Sorry, something got stuck in my throat. That's disappointing. Seer is certainly abnormal. That outfit is too authentic to be otherwise, and their actions betrayed them even more than their clothes. We're going to be working together for a little while, so I feel it's important I know. It takes a few moments for him to gather his courage, but when he finally speaks, he does so firmly. You weren't aware of this, but Seer showed me my future.
Is that so?
Really now? Yes, when we first met. By showing me my future, Seer has done me a greater service than almost anyone. I think it's proper to extend what little assistance I can in return. Brazenly lying and breaking the law seems like an odd way of doing that. Yes, I don't quite understand why you went that far myself. The decision was made rather impetuously, I admit. Nevertheless, had that not been done, I am certain there would have been no other opportunity to repay Seer. They would have remained in police custody, and I never would have seen them again. I look to Piper to try and gauge what her reaction is. She is simply silent, and for a time she appears locked in thought. The lack of a reply makes January uncomfortable, and he shifts around slightly in his seat, just like I'm shifting around right now because I keep having to adjust myself. By the way, I have the more lewd pillows like down on the bottom so that way you guys can't see them, but even then there's Tamaki there and she always dresses up weird. I'm sorry if that doesn't seem like a satisfactory reason. If that's all there is to it, it doesn't matter if I think it's satisfactory. Thank you for your understanding. Is there anything else?
Thanks.
That's fine for now. I'll let you know. Well, I am pleased I won't have to pretend to be something I'm not anymore, at least when Kia isn't around. Honestly, you didn't seem to be making much of an effort before. I tried my best. It was not an easy task to ask of someone, I'm sure, but I'll be able to manage keeping it from just Kia, though. Unless, are you gonna tell Kia what January said? I don't see why I would need to. That's somewhat a shame. That must mean that means I must continue to keep my distance, but if Piper thinks that's for the best, it's for the best. January looks wary over her glib reply, though he doesn't point it out. Well, thank you, Piper. Again. Yes, it is truly admirable the way you're willing to assist lowly people such as us. You are my goddess. Honestly, though, men and women, if you have a girlfriend, okay, and non-binary people as well, the guys, gals, and non-binary pals, if you have a girlfriend, and you don't treat her like a goddess, even just like once a week, what the fuck is wrong with you? I kid. But seriously though, like, whoever you are, if you have a girlfriend, If you're not me, and you have a girlfriend, treat her like a goddess, okay? Seriously. It will drive her crazy. In a good way. That's what I say, anyways. Thanks. The praise isn't really necessary, however. Telling Kia about this would only make things more complicated. If a situation comes up where Kia needs to know, I'll tell them. I can't imagine a time where Kia would need to know about that. I can't either. Still, I thought I should bring it up, just in case, you know? I completely understand. Oh, excuse me. It was intelligent in more ways than one for us to have this conversation, as it just reminded me of something crucial. I did not wish to be a bother, but I must ask a favor of you. In order to maintain the charade, I told Kia what my true, normal name is. From now on, I would be grateful if you could refer to me by Zach Moore. Also, please call me he from this point on. That was another piece of information Kia asked about.
Alright then.
I can do that. So kind. That won't be any trouble, Zach Moore. Excellent. After a moment or two in silence, January clears his throat and turns to me. Well, seeing as this facade will be maintained, I think I'd better help you understand a little bit more about my situation, Zach Moore. If the topic comes up, it would be best if you could answer accurately. If I must, explain. Thank you. I appreciate your willingness. To begin, I'll tell you that I inherited the title of Duke from my mother, Duchess Vianne, as the oldest and only child of the last person to hold the title. I gained it when she passed away 2 years ago. All who live eventually stop. Yes. In any case, the reason I was in Mier yesterday was to meet with the mayor. Why that was is irrelevant. You don't need to say anything about it if asked. Otherwise, I spend all my time at my family's home on the surface. And I suppose that is about the whole of it. There isn't much else in my life worth noting. What an empty life for someone so apparently important as you. January just laughs, but he doesn't meet my eyes again, instead looking toward the window. Well, I will do what I can to keep all that in mind, though as I said, I'm not worried about Kia. What could they even do? Worst case scenario, they can insist we go back to the city immediately. Do you honestly think they'd go that far? Piper takes a few moments to mull over the question. Probably not. I'm almost positive they'd demand that Zach Moore agreed to go back with them after you've been safely delivered, though. I don't want to go anywhere without you, Piper. Right. Speaking of Kia, it's been a while with silence, so I'm going to switch the radio back on for a bit. January and I nod wordlessly. Piper then flips the switch, turning the radio back on. We continue in an awkward stillness for a couple of minutes, going out of our way to make a few noises such as shuffling or coughing. I even throw in a dissatisfied sigh for authenticity. I mean, that's true, you have been sighing a lot. Sort of. The radio is then switched back off. That was not a very long time. Will it be enough? Thank goodness, January. You are a warrior. Of course that is enough. If you say so. Unless Kia speaks. It'll be fine, Duke. Kia's simply being difficult. I see no reason we must have our end of the radio on indefinitely. I'd wager they're worried about what we'll say behind their back, or perhaps they feel as though it's only fair that we remain in silence since they have to. Either way, it's not a horrible thing if we talk amongst ourselves. Piper, you are so wise. I never cease to be impressed by your deductions. Thanks. Alright, well, what shall we discuss next? Whatever you two want. Do you not have an opinion, or would you prefer to not be involved in the conversation? Both. Don't feel obligated to include me. It would be much better if you were involved. There's so much more I want to know about you. There's nothing else I wish to discuss. You should talk about yourself, too. That's nice, but this isn't just about what you'd like. I have wants, and January is here, too. Maybe he has an idea of something to discuss. No, I don't need to decide. She raises an eyebrow at his response and looks unsatisfied. Uh-oh. Are you sure, Duke? You look as though there's something on your mind. Go on, tell us. I insist. Yes, please do. At least you agree. So we can have it be over. Right! There's always a catch with you, Buffalo. Well, you see, I have a question I've thought of asking, but I'm not certain of its propriety. I see. So there are differing opinions on what the topic should be. Must January always complicate things for me? Hey, be nice to your best friend. What do you want to talk about then, Piper? As I said, I don't have a topic in mind. In that case, you should decide between our two ideas, my questions or January's. Piper's grin grows especially sly, and then she adopts a face that seems just a bit too thoughtful to be serious.
Well...
If it was truly up to me, I think I'd like to hear the Duke's question. Why would you pick January? I already have all the answers when it comes to myself, so that topic isn't very interesting in my opinion. I sigh heavily. How can a response be so charming and so disheartening at the same time? It is settled then. Go ahead and ask your question, January. Are you certain? Well, it's not like the lady's gonna let Buffalo get what he wants. I am. Now tell us. I guess also for me to get what I want. Pardon. Now this leg is acting up. Normally it's this leg when I'm sitting down. January smiles, but looks uncomfortable for all that. Okay, hold up. I should be using left hand. I wondered, did you ever wish that you lived in a normal society instead? Oh gosh. Sorry. That's the question you've been so bothered by? Why does that matter to you? January looks a bit embarrassed by my pointed question. It's just that I have heard some things about abnormal towns, so I was curious as to what someone from there thought of it. I have few issues with it. Until I saw my own future, normal society had no appeal.
So, where you lived before was... nice?
This expression has become somewhat complicated. I'm not sure what answer he's hoping to hear. Yes, I was quite comfortable back in the sanctuary. I'm glad. Alright? No, that's over with. We can move on to my questions. Piper's smile falters. She doesn't seem pleased by January's question of choice. I agree. It was a poor idea. Then the smile returns. Actually, I just thought of something I'd like to talk about, but since you want to talk about something else, it can wait. Oh no, we can discuss what you'd like instead. I'm sure January is of the same mind. She is deflecting your affection, which makes perfect sense because you snuck up on her immediately doing that. I give him a nudge with my elbow and he nods. Certainly. Thanks. So I wonder what the two of you thought of Mier. January's brow furrows slightly. That's an unexpected question. My favorite kind. Why did you suddenly change your mind about choosing the topic? It doesn't matter. If I recall, you had a rather unexpected question yourself. True. I enjoyed Mier well enough, even with the intrusion. I'm not entirely sure I'll return, however. I wasn't terribly impressed.
Interesting.
Really? She stops for a moment to think. During this break in our conversation, my own thoughts start to wander. Suddenly, it strikes me that we're likely going to have meals together. I hadn't thought about that. Earlier, while we were at the station, January insisted we stay in our room and not interact with the police until the others have arrived. Because of that, neither of us had anything to eat whilst we were there. Usually, I would not be pleased by him telling me what to do. However, I did not want to associate with the police people regardless. Not to mention, I was too preoccupied with thinking of Piper to care if I ate or not. Still, Piper and I's first meal together. What a marvelous occasion! Ooh. Do normals have meals together? I've never eaten with someone else before. Ow, shit. Alright, it's not bad. It's just like a tiny scrape on my skin. It looks like it's gone already. Either way, though. I have had meals with someone else before, and since I'm integrating part of my personality into Buffalo's for this playthrough, because I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be done, I want to ask this. Do normals have meals together? Oh, well, it depends. I can tell both January and Piper are surprised by this sudden change in topic. However, I simply... Pardon, continue on. What does it depend on?
I suppose.
The person. What do you do, Piper? I work alone, so generally I have to eat alone. I see. I hope to share meals with you. We'll just have to see what happens then. I wish you had said that was fine, but it's not a no, so I should be grateful. So if you are alone for most meals, does that mean you cook for yourself?
No.
Not usually. I mostly buy meals that are ready to eat with little or no preparation. Ah, like at a restaurant. I've read about those. Yes, I tend to go to restaurants while I'm in towns. How fascinating. Could you tell me about some of the restaurants you've been to? If you want to hear about that, I think it'd be better to ask January. You've been to some pretty interesting spots, I bet. What a shame. It doesn't matter to me where January has gone. If that's what Piper wants to hear, though, I can accept it. I suppose. Then go on. Alright. We engage in this sort of talk for some time, periodically stopping to turn the radio on to make sure Kia doesn't get suspicious. After a while, I begin to actually feel hungry. It's hard to tell the time in this confined carriage, so I haven't the slightest idea when we should have a meal. Piper, could you turn the radio on and ask Kia about meals? I want to know when we will get to eat. Not a bad idea, especially after that last conversation. She brings her finger to the switch. Act natural. That makes me chuckle. Hey Kia, I just thought of something. What are we doing about meals? There's a slight crackle before the voice on the other end comes through.
Oh?
The rations are stored in the passenger area of the carriage. Eat whatever you want. Good to know, though I wouldn't be that liberal with our supplies. We may have more than needed, but it's still the only food we have out here. Yeah, right. Forget what I said about eating whatever you want. There are going to be limits. Are you going to eat with us then, Officer Kia? I'll eat when we stop for the evening. We have to keep moving for now. In that case, we're going to have lunch. Fine, just do it quietly. I don't want all that noise to distract you. Maybe we should turn the radios off while we eat. You're gonna do it, though. Regardless of what Kia says. Still haven't gotten a message on Tumblr, it seems. The radios stay on. Oh, actually, she did. I was not paying attention. Sorry, I'm gonna just type this up real quick. Alright, I was just checking. I almost said, tale, it's a foretold affair. Piper quickly flips the radio off and turns to us. I'm trying to make this quick. Here, let me do another dialogue. I'll be keeping this on for now. As soon as we're finished, I'll turn it off again. Sound good? January and I both nod, and Piper swiftly hits the switch. Kia can be so difficult. Start looking for the food then, you two. Alright, I was just making sure I typed that in right. The two of us turn around and begin searching. He high up and me down low. After a moment, he announces that he discovers something and pulls down a box. What's on the menu? Seems like mostly packages of preserved foods and some fruit. You should each have one bag and one piece of fruit. That would be the healthiest thing. Whatever you say. I'm almost done typing. Fuck, I pressed M instead of the period button again. Yeah. I reach into the box and pull out 3 packages, handing one over to Piper and another to January, while he picks us 3 pieces of fruit and gives one to each of us. Piper bites into her fruit and apple, but sets the package aside without apparent interest. I frown at the packages. Maybe we could stop after all. How are we expected to eat this whilst in a moving vehicle? Piper and Kia both say no at nearly the same time. But if we stop, you could join our meal, Officer Kia.
You know.
I told you I'm fine. I had plenty this morning, and we've got to get as close to the halfway point as possible today. While January begins eating his fruit, I turn away so that neither he nor Piper can see my front. I then lift up my mask just slightly so that I can take a bite of my fruit. A pear. Uh-oh. In real life, if I ate that, I'd probably be running downstairs to the bathroom. Are you alright, Zachmore? Yeah. Actually, no. I'm about to have an allergic reaction to the pear. I quickly pull my hood further forward. I am fine, January. This is how I have to eat. What do you mean? What are you doing in there? I sigh loudly, making a clear effort for Kia to hear it. I have to eat sitting on the floor and put the container on the seat. There's not much... Oh. Fuck. There's not much room in here. Can you understand that? Oh. January leans towards me and speaks softly.
My apologies.
I'm sorry, Zachary Moore. I didn't mean to trouble you. I should have realized. I just wave his words away. We continue to eat our fruit in silence for a time until January chuckles slightly. It seems like all of us are hesitating to eat the packaged food.
Why?
There's nothing wrong with that food. You all shouldn't be so picky. I examine the package again, and think the food looks dry and very unappetizing. I think I'll have another piece of fruit, actually. We don't have endless fruit, you know. What do you think, Piper? Is there enough for me to have 2 fruits? Look, if you're so set on it, eat your entire meal now, and then if you still have an appetite, you can maybe have another fruit as a snack before dinner. You shouldn't just eat fruit for lunch. I groan and look dismally at the packaged food. Finishing this seems an impossible challenge. I'm so focused on the task at hand, it takes a while for me to notice my shoulder is being nudged. It finally registers, and I look over to see January extending half an apple to me. Here, Zachmore, you can have mine. There's no need for that, Duke. You and Zachmore both have enough for yourselves. Zachmore seems to like the fruit more than I do, and I really don't mind, officer.
You can't.
I disagree. You're much bigger than Zachmore, or any of us really, and should be eating the most. Zachmore is just being childish. Please don't refer to me as a child. Actually, is one of each even gonna be enough? I doubt those serving sizes were designed with giants in mind. Wow! Kia, relax! Though, that makes me wonder, how tall is January in this world? Because I don't... Actually, that also begs the question, how tall is Buffalo Seer? Because in real life, I am 6'2". Kia mumbles something too quiet to make out distinctly. Something about forgetting just how big those food rations are. I awkwardly hold January's half apple, unsure of what to do, of what I should do with it now. I assure you, I am quite comfortable with the amount of food I have left. That's no excuse. You may feel fine now, but what about later? January appears about to resist again when Piper speaks up.
Let's stay calm.
Really, you're all being so particular. If the Duke gets hungry later, we can always pull out more food. When I said we should be careful, this was not what I had in mind. Piper's interjection stops our conversation entirely, and we all say nothing for a moment. Piper's right. You don't need a baby, January. He can manage. Piper laughs unexpectedly at that comment. So, you're more of the tough love kind of bodyguard, eh? Right, of course. The Duke needs some toughening. He's too meek and scrawny. If that's the case, you're not doing him any favors by taking his food.
Pardon me?
Please, everyone. There's no need to worry. I can indeed take care of myself. Here's another brief pause, which is eventually broken by Kia. No, I can just copy the message. I can't fix it. I think you should eat an extra piece of fruit with your food package, Duke. That should be good. In that case, I think I would benefit from a second piece of fruit. Even though I'm shorter, I have muscles that need to be maintained. Yeah, I'm sure. Remember that you're supposed to be quiet. I scoff. matching Kia's tone, but Piper cuts in between us.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, Kia, we'll be quiet. With that, conversation stops and we finish our meal in silence. Alright, let me just finish. I'm gonna get a drink. The carriage ride dragged on for a while, but never seemed dull. After our awkward meal, we were able to resume our chatting, turning the radio on and off as necessary. Eventually, Kia calls in over the radio and says it's time to find a place to stop. We follow the gadabout to a spot beside a river, sheltered by trees that allow the waning light of evening filter in. As we pull into the clearing, both vehicles come to a stop and we all exit. Ow! Fuck. I wonder if there's gonna be a bath scene. This literally looks like a place that would have a bath scene. January stretches his long limbs with a gratified sigh.
Splendid.
This is really just splendid. We should set up a fire and have a proper campsite.
I'm afraid not.
It's really not cold enough to justify taking the time to start a fire. Besides, we don't want to be seen, and that would be a dead giveaway. Good point! Yeah, I was in the Scouts though, so I could easily help out with a good campfire. Actually, no. Let's rephrase that. I could not easily do that, because it has been over a decade. Oh gosh, I feel old. Well, not over a decade. Just about a decade. January frowns in disappointment. I would too, because, like, I think I got to, like, Star, but I never got to finishing up because our troop closed down. Sucked. Right. My right fingers don't work on the scanner right now, probably because of the fact that my fucking hand is dry. And the skin cracks and everything. Fuck, I hate that. Kia walks over to us, their brow bunched up. You all did a good job keeping quiet during the trip. Better than I would have expected. Their tone is more suspicious than pleased. I scoff. What did you expect? We're professionals, after all. I'm not so certain about that. Kia just stares, but I can tell they have not been convinced. If we aren't setting up a fire, then I will head down to the river. Hold on, there was no reason to do that either. You should head back into the carriage and stay out of sight. After all that time? No, I would prefer not to. I sigh. It is obvious January is going to make this difficult, as always.
It's fine.
I'm pretty certain no one followed us. There should be no danger in letting him stay outside for a bit. Why let our guard down? Someone could begin watching us at any time. In fact, Zach Moore should really go back too. Your look is a bit conspicuous, even if most won't know exactly what it means. It is shocking to be included in that way, but her logic is sound.
Trust me.
I know it's a pain, but it's better than being abducted, right? If you have any personal business to take care of, you can do that quickly. Other than that, I don't see why you need time outside. Yeah, both of you are gonna have to go back to the carriage. That's in order. Come along, January. He doesn't move, still staring at Kia. Look, I'm the only one here with any authority. Making decisions is my responsibility. Listening to him is yours. January looks at me for what to do now, and I in turn focus on Piper. She shrugs. Let me just actually check real quick. Oh, we probably passed a good point to save. Alright, hold on. Technically, Kia is right about that. Pardon. It would be less troublesome for all of us if you two didn't openly defy Kia's orders. Kia gives Piper a sidelong look. Openly? What are you trying to say with that? Inwardly, I can't help chuckling at how none of us really listen to Kia. Piper just straightens her dress without looking at Kia. It's been settled. You two need to head back to the carriage. Kia's eyes revealed their irritation with the way she ignored her question, but the conversation has clearly moved on. January turns his head away from us, still unconvinced.
I will be fine.
I see no harm in it.
Stop.
Hey, I told you to get back inside. It's for your own good, January. Come back. Fine, I will let you stretch your legs for a little while, but then it's back to the carriage. I'm going to have my lunch now. Piper shakes her head before heading towards January. I quickly follow her lead. Of course Piper wouldn't let January walk all over her. You should have listened to Kia. He should have listened to you. My statement is ignored as entirely as Kia's orders. It is disappointing. Miss Piper, thanks to Seer, we all know that nothing dreadful is going to happen. I don't need to be babied. That's not an excuse to be dismissive of the people who are trying to help you. Kia gave me an allotment of time to remain out, did they not? I am listening to them now, so there should be no problem. That was only because you were being stubborn initially. She shakes her head, beginning to show signs of annoyance herself. This isn't a vacation, you can't do everything you want. January frowns and turns away to watch the water. I sigh deeply at his behavior. Piper, I must wonder why you agreed to come on this trip. It's obvious someone like you would have much better options than this. Considering I'm already here, it doesn't really matter, I would think. No, I believe Seer makes a good point. I too have wondered what you intend to gain by participating in this.
Well...
I have the kind of experience this expedition needs, and had time to provide it. A person in my position is almost obligated to help. Fascinating. What kind of experience? Among other things, dealing with bounty hunters. Remarkable! Seriously, Buffalo, you just get interested in anything she says. Really? And how does one come by such experience? Piper laughs lightly, though perhaps not so flippantly as usual. Now this isn't proper interrogation, huh? Generally, people already know, or don't care. January and I keep looking at her expectantly. If you must know, I'm not from Mier. I'm just vacationing here for a while from my actual jobs. I still work part-time, though that's beside the point. How ironic. You specifically pointed out how this was not a vacation, and yet the only reason you're here is because you are actually on a vacation. Piper gives a tight smile. Anyway, my usual work is as a cartographer and collector. Since I specialize in some expensive stuff, I often run into bounty hunters looking to make a profit for their own. I've dealt with them many times, which is why my skills will be useful here. What an incredible life, though it is not suited for someone like me. I agree that it is quite exceptional.
However,
I still find it odd that you decided to join simply for generosity's sake. Well, I suppose I am getting something out of this, but you would have thought poorly of me if I just mentioned that this would be a nice point on a resume. In all honesty, Duke, the main reason I'm doing this is because I know with certainty the chances of success would have been lower without me, and watching someone walk off into a chase with Trinette may as well be watching someone walk off to the slaughterhouse. She's ruthless. I would never doubt your motives.
Ah, so if that's all...
Piper then turns and waves at Kia, motioning for them to come over. Kia doesn't look eager, but puts down their food and heads to where we are. I just realized I'm probably covering January's face, and he looks serious. Oh, now I'm definitely covering his face. I'm sorry, dude. I think we're done stretching now.
Good.
Then everyone back into the carriage. January looks upset again, so I decide to speak up. We'll be happy to do that, right? I really see no necessity. Even should some incident occur, I am certain I will be able to handle it. You need to start taking this more seriously. Right, it doesn't matter if you can, it's better if nothing happens. Now go already. With a heavy sigh and defeated look, January concedes and makes his way toward the carriage, dragging his feet the whole way. With that taken care of, I begin making my own way there. Okay, I was worried for a moment that I was going to be fucking told, wait a moment, I gotta talk to you. As he walks, he doesn't seem to be paying attention, and suddenly his foot catches on a root. Uh-oh. He carelessly stumbles forward, just barely managing to catch himself before falling on his face. However, his opera glasses fly from his grasp as he falters. Before the inevitable impact, they instead stop and gently bop up and down in the air. All of us stop with them, staring at the floating frames. Wait a moment. Uh-oh. I have a feeling that he's an abnormal now. January straightens himself and his glasses rise with him, remaining close at his side. Well, that was rather close. He takes them again in his hand, trying to act as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. So that's how it is. You're abnormal. January looks uncomfortably at Kia and Piper, but nods to me.
Ah, yes. That is so.
Okay, I was just making sure. I would prefer if we kept this between our little party here. Kia makes an explosive sign and begins pacing around, waving her arms about. Of course! Of course! Of course! There's no other reason a family suddenly leaves the public eye, is there? No one should even be surprised. Well, this is going to be trouble. What now? Before I can even finish gathering my thoughts, Kia makes a dash for the gadabout. I'm calling the captain right now. He's got to be informed of this. No. You know we're out of range. Kia doesn't seem to hear this and continues to rush to her vehicle. For a few seconds we wait in silence, until Kia comes back over, dejected. We're out of range. I unplugged my mic. I don't know if it's working. Give me a second to put it back. Alright, OBS. Testing, 1, 2, 3! Yeah, it's working. Okay. Click on the game.
Seems like it.
What a shame. Alright, everyone, into the carriage. We're heading back to Seer. Absolutely not. That is in no way reasonable. Going back is just heading towards danger. The best thing to do is to get to January's safe house. His abnormality can be dealt with after the threat of bounty hunters is over. We all just agreed that I have the final say here, and I say we need to go back. You're simply overreacting because of how okay, I clicked on an accident. Unexpected this is. We all need some time to think before we can make a real call. My mind is made up. We need to go back. Weren't you the one who made us a team until this mission is finished? That's been nullified. 2 of you are criminals. Excuse me? We haven't done anything criminal. Just because we're abnormal doesn't mean we're criminal. That's racist! 2?
Yes.
You and January. It's obvious now that you really are abnormal, and January was just covering for you. January and I look at each other, and he appears embarrassed. We need to make this right, and that means going back to Seer.
See?
Look, this is a pretty extenuating circumstance. I'm sure the rest of the force will understand if you don't report back at this moment. Besides, he must have a way to fake test results. Even if you take him back, there's no guarantee you can prove he's not normal. So what then? Should I do it later, after he's had a chance to prepare, making it more difficult to resolve the issue, and giving me less time to focus on truly dangerous criminals? Or do you expect me to turn a blind eye entirely because it's convenient? No, neither of those are reasonable. It has to be dealt with now. Come on, relax a bit. But we still can't even be sure we'll make it back. And now that we know January is abnormal, keeping him out of the hands of bounty hunters is more important than ever. Kia, still looking unconvinced, doesn't have a chance to make another argument before Piper continues. You already said we weren't going to travel tonight. Why don't we sleep on it and make a decision tomorrow? We are all silent for a moment, and I wonder if Kia will accept this compromise. Alright, we'll wait, but only if that means that come tomorrow you'll all agree to return to Seer if that's what I choose. And if we don't go, then I'll have to place you under arrest, and any further resistance will make you fugitives. Let's not get too excited now. After we've had a chance to rest, we can talk about this more. Fine. Kia storms off toward the gadabout again, their frustration evident with every step. Piper watches, then shakes her head.
Alright then.
Back to the carriage, you two. I think that's enough fun for one day. Neither of us comments further. Before I go in, I look once more at Piper. She gives me a slight smile. What would I do without her? I don't know why I was looking this way. The camera's right there. Let's take this opportunity now to save, though. Because I didn't really take an opportunity to save. Come on. Here we go. But you know, it's best to make saves, just because. It's not like I'm going to be able to play this game all night. I gotta stop around 6:30-ish to make dinner. The atmosphere here in this carriage with January is wholly unpleasant. He sighs loudly. I decide anything other than that is better to fill the quiet, and strike up a conversation. Ah, so he knows exactly what kind of abnormal he is. So, you're a riser, then? Excuse me? That's the title of your ability. I am a seer, and you are a riser.
I see.
Indeed. I was always curious about that. How did you get away with this? All abnormals need to live with other abnormals. Well, our family has a private physician. When I was born, my parents were told of my abnormality before it was made official. My mother found a way to brush it under the rug and have me recorded as normal. I didn't realize that was possible. It isn't meant to be. I'm sure my mother did not have an easy time of it. January laughed shakily. A shame I could not maintain the deception just one more day. What use is there in worrying about that now? You still know what your future will be. I suppose so, and yet I have tried so hard. He seems to be drifting into a sad mood, which makes the atmosphere rather uncomfortable again. In an effort to pull him out of it, I slyly plan to change the subject. I nudge him slightly, which makes him look up. That secret of yours is the true reason you have treated me so well all this time, isn't it? January gives a half smile. Yes, I have never met another abnormal before. At least none that revealed themselves to be such.
Meeting you was like a miracle.
I think I feel a little of that as well. Being alone in a carriage with a strange normal would not have been ideal. The mood lifts as I had hoped, and we both sit back more contentedly. I stare at the ceiling, and my mind automatically drifts to Piper. If only I could speak to her some way. I bolt upright, making January start. What's happened? Do you know how to use the radio? I believe so, but Piper told us it was out of range. Not out of the gadabout. Not out of the gadabout. Ah, I see. You wish to speak with Piper. I simply nod.
In that case...
I believe I can make it work for you. Very good. I keep having to adjust myself. I really should have just sat downstairs and told Dave to use his headphones. But I just wanted to do this in private, I suppose. I mean, not that it would matter too much. Then again, like, Dave using my headphones a lot would also probably bug me. Because all my headphones are starting to crackle. I don't like that. It hurts my ears. January bumbles to the front of the carriage, hitting his head against the top at least once, and begins fiddling with the controls. He puts his lanky stature to use to extend the portable speaker far enough back so I can reach it from my position. It is ready to be used as soon as I flip the switch. Tell me when you'd like to speak, and after that, just talk into that part of the device. I'm ready. January flips the aforementioned switch, and I look outside to see that Kay is luckily still near the gadabout. It is good to have someone who can answer the call, but how long do they intend to glue themselves to that? Hello? Kay flinches at the sudden sound, and January giggles behind me. I almost did the same. Kay, it's only us. Realization finally sinking in, Kia reaches for what appears to be the speaker on the gadabout. What do you want? To talk to Piper. What about? You can't figure it out on your own. You're the one who accused me of being a real seer. Oh, right. That vision you mentioned yesterday. Exactly. Piper is essentially already my fiancée, so I wish to speak with her. Even from here in the carriage, I can see Kia roll her eyes. Piper isn't going to just stand around frittering the day away with you. That may or may not be true. Either way, I'd rather hear it from Piper. Kia moves the speaking end away from their face and says something I can't hear, then pulls the mouthpiece back up. Fine, I'll go get her. Good, I'll be watching. For what? Throws her hands up in dismay, then sets the radio down and walks over to Piper. The two look to have a brief conversation, and Piper turns toward the carriage. January and I both wave at her, and she gives a small wave back. She then strides elegantly over to the gadabout and picks up the radio.
Hello.
Hello, Piper. I'm so glad to hear you. Yeah. Listen, Kia's working on the gadabout, which means someone else has to watch the camp. You and January will just entertain yourselves for a while, okay? I'm about to say more, but Piper waves goodbye to us from where she's standing and sets the radio down. She signals over towards Kia, who returns to their work on the gadabout. Without another glance, Piper walks back to the edge of the camp and continues her vigil. I sit back in my seat and let the speaker fall from my hand. She's busy. We'll have to pass the time with just ourselves. Indeed. So, this is a good time to get to know more about, January. You can tell him more about your culture and whatnot. So that way he at least understands more. Ow. Night falls quickly in the forest as the trees increase the evening gloom. Soon, only a few strands of pale moonlight peek through the leaves, casting silvery lines across the ground. I keep looking out the front window, watching Piper as she walks around the perimeter of our camp. So reliable, so diligent, so beautiful. Soon, she walks past the point where I can see her from the window. With a sigh, I lean back in my seat. The future is a curious thing. It's remarkable how everything has fallen together to make it happen. Is it... Okay, hold up. I almost clicked away from it. It is indeed peculiar, but what makes you say so now? I was thinking about this trip. I never would have come on this journey had it not been for my view of the future, and yet the future had already compensated for that fact and arranged itself so that the vision would be fulfilled. If I had chosen January or Kia, it would have been fulfilled regardless. Fuck, I don't think I can get any more water. It has this weird thing, my water bottle. As you can see, this... It was gonna fall off on its own that time. As you can see, though, this is where the water comes through to get into my mouth, you know? But it only reaches a certain point, obviously, so that way water can get through. You can't just, like, have it all the way straight to the bottom. So now there's just, like, this tiny little inch or so, maybe a little less, of water. So I can't get enough out of it. And I don't want to have to refill it until tomorrow when I go to work, so... I was thinking about this trip. Oh, right, I already said that. If I was a person who instead decided not to look into their future, what would have become of me? Would entirely be different. It was truly the best decision I have ever made.
I see.
I must say, it is heartening to hear you say so. I always saw the future as something to be dreaded. The future cannot harm you. It is the present you need to be concerned with. That's why I chose to look forward. Soon enough, though, my present will actually be worth putting up with. You really have got to learn some self-control, Buffalo. Now I'm almost out of this. I don't want to have to get up. I don't want to do cutting for this playthrough as much as possible. If I end up, like, if I end up, like, not cutting, maybe I'll throw in something entertaining at some points. For all those moments where I just shut the fuck up and not talk. Which there were plenty of those moments. I'm just taking care of some notifications, getting them off my phone, because, like, I don't need them. Okay. January looks out the window with himself with a wistful look. I rather like the present I currently have, and wouldn't much like it altered. I must assume you have rather low standards. He doesn't appear to hear me, still lost in his own thoughts. It's just as well, since I have my own thoughts to think on. For a while, we both remain in silence. January tries to stretch out, but within the confines of this carriage, his efforts don't amount to much. He looks out the window, scanning his surroundings. Okay, very ironic that you're talking about my own life right now. Yeah. Night has fully come already. He cranes his face in my direction. Are you hungry? Perhaps it is time for dinner. I am a little, but we should tell Piper first before doing anything. So long as we eat only what is allotted for dinner, I'm sure Piper will have no objections. You're probably right. She is very reasonable. January nods and reaches back to pull out some more of the food storage. He chooses an apple and another packaged meal, handing them to me. He selects a similar meal for himself before casting another look towards the window. Suppose we eat outside instead. It is dark enough that there is no real possibility we will be observed. Perhaps, though if Piper says we should go back in, you'd better not throw a fit like earlier. January sighs in frustration. Fine. With the plan decided, together we exit the carriage, January opening the door for me. Tell you what though, that looks beautiful. We step into the evening stillness with the sound of night creatures singing and the gentle flowing of the river as our accompaniment. It doesn't take long for Piper to spot us and head our way. Perfect! Is something wrong? We decided to enjoy our evening meal outdoors. It really is too dark for anyone to see us now. Not necessarily. There are ways to see in the dark. Trinette's eyes aren't just for show. Uh-oh, don't tell me she's now normal too. January and I stand a bit abashed, looking at each other. Piper gives a small smile.
Sorry.
I think you should go back inside. This isn't good. I need to show Piper I thought this through. I understand that possibility, but if someone was skulking around with a device to see in the dark, they were likely already planning on attacking someone. Us being seen or not wouldn't make a difference. Piper pauses to reflect a moment. There's some truth to that, but that doesn't mean inside isn't the safest place. That style of carriage is designed to withstand attack, and is quite a pain to get into when locked. We intended to stay very close to the carriage. Indeed, I think Zach Moore makes a good point. I have decided to remain outside. Fine, for dinner at least you can stay outside. Afterwards, it's back in the carriage to get some sleep. We have to start early tomorrow. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Now, since you're eating, guess I might as well get something for myself. Remember not to go far. Piper heads towards the carriage, and I notice Kia watching us from by the gadabout. They get up and head towards the carriage, likely to get food as well. I was not the only one watching. January's eyes followed the two for a few moments while looking somewhat uncomfortable.
So...
why don't we suggest all of us eat our meals together? It would be the polite thing to do. Yeah, we're gonna be polite. Go ahead, ask if you want. I have no desire to eat with anyone other than Piper. However, I see no harm in being polite. I'm certain the four of us would not all agree to eat together. Then I will. Once Piper and Kia emerge from the carriage with their meals and begin walking their separate ways, January calls them over. Both look confused, but come as bidden.
What?
What is it? If it's about eating outside, don't bother. If I had a problem, I had to say something already. That's not it. We were wondering if you two would like to join our meal.
Oh?
How thoughtful of you to offer. Well, you know why he would offer you. I'm not sure if that means you will or you won't. Why not? She is so sweet. Kia will certainly refuse. How about you, Officer Kia? Kia shakes her head.
Nothing's changed between us.
You shouldn't want to sit with me. That situation and this one are not connected. Kia doesn't look convinced, but when Piper nudges her arm with her elbow, just sit with us. Kia sighs and turns to walk away, as expected. Piper stops him by grabbing his sleeve. It would be safer to stick together, too, wouldn't you agree? Ah, I hadn't thought of that. I suppose I can put up with those other two if it gives Piper peace of mind. Fine. If you're all so persistent, I'll stay. Kia plops down on the ground right where they're standing. The rest of us find places to sit as well, either on rocks or on the grass. I sit with my back mostly towards the others so I can turn and eat under my mask. We all begin to eat in silence, and I notice Kia eats somewhat similarly to me, pulling her scarf down just enough to take a bite and then putting it back into place. When it begins to seem as though no one will speak, Piper breaks the silence. I was wondering, Kia, why don't you just take your scarf off to eat? Seems inconvenient, especially since we all know you're a they. Social customs aren't really so important out here. It's just how I do things. I'd rather not have to change now. Makes me wonder why you're out here wearing a dress. That doesn't seem very convenient either. Kia's tone makes it sound as though Piper's actions was almost criminal in nature, but Piper shrugs it with great composure. I didn't have any other clothes prepared on such short notice. Normally I'd have more efficient outfits, but it's been a while since I've been out and about myself. If it was an option, I'd take the dress off.
You know.
You didn't have to come if it was so troublesome. I just wanted to strike up a conversation, no need to be so hostile. Kia falls silent, taking a few more bites of their food. The atmosphere has grown distinctly uncomfortable, as seems to happen with our group. Honestly, I'm surprised I was not the cause of this poor mood. Piper and Kia give him a flat look, making it evident this comment was not appreciated. He laughs nervously under the stairs. It was a joke. Or meant to be one. Well, now it is your fault the mood is off. Gosh, man. January laughs nervously again, and Kia just shakes her head. Piper smiles at least. Maybe it's Kay. I say both. Suddenly, Kay smacks themselves on the forehead and groans loudly. What was that for? I just realized I should have had you take off that mask for this trip. Even if you didn't have any clothes other than a cloak, the mask wouldn't have been necessary if you were actually normal. It's so obvious. Calm yourself. I could have simply made up an excuse to keep it on, like that I have this figurine scar or something of that nature.
Don't worry about it.
I agree. It likely wouldn't have made a difference either way, so there's nothing to stress over, Kea. Kea Harley looks mollified and appears to softly berate themselves for missing the opportunity. Conversation dies away again, and we finish our meal in silence. Why does January have to be on my side? His face is all covered. At least he looks... actually, no, he kind of looks worried. At last, Kea rises, seeming glad the meal is finally over. Alright, back to the carriage. Piper gets up as well, decorously brushing the dirt and leaves from her clothes. Kea's right, we should all get some sleep. I look sadly towards Piper. It was nice while it lasted. Very well. How shall sleeping arrangements be conducted? You and Zachmore will have to share the carriage. It's the most secure. Piper and I will sleep outside. I would much rather stay outside too, but I know Piper would tell me to stay where it's safer. Understood. At least you're being cooperative, even if it's not for the reasons I would be being cooperative. Whatever.
Sleep well.
Glad to hear it. Sleep well, then. She waves us goodbye and wanders off into the darkness. Good night! Kea nods in acknowledgement of Piper's gesture, then turns to us. Good night. Their tone implies right now, and they stand to watch us, as if making sure we comply. With a shake of his head, January begins walking toward the carriage. I have a feeling that January is going to have a theme where he doesn't like to be confined, that he's a free spirit, and that this treatment of his that he's being subjected to in order to be protected is making him feel like he's being confined. I walk over to the carriage, but hesitate before going inside. I look back and see Kea giving me an unhappy look. I stare at them for a few moments when Piper comes back over. She walks beside Kea and seems to whisper something to them. I assume she told Kea she would handle things, because Kea gives us a slight huff and walks off. Piper strolls elegantly up to me, and I move towards her as well.
Hey.
It's time to go to sleep. I understand. I only wanted a moment longer outside. That's well and good, but the rest of us won't be able to relax until you're safely inside. My shoulders slump slightly. Of course. Can I at least say something before I go? Piper doesn't look totally pleased with my request, but she nods. As long as you don't propose to me again. No, I'll still wait for you to do that.
Just checking.
I'm very happy you've been so understanding of this situation, and grateful you stood up for me in January. I can respect extenuating circumstances. It's not the police force's fault that they don't have rules for this very specific situation, but it's also not wise to blindly follow a law that's only going to cause more trouble. You are so reasonable and level-headed. I really respect that. Is that all? Does that have to be all? Piper sighs.
Okay.
What else could you want to know? Well, I did want to ask. I'm going to ask about that. About the vision would be another thing entirely. You mentioned you're still working in Mirror. I wanted to know what you were doing. I work in a boutique, that's all. Nothing fancy. A boutique is a shop for clothing, jewelry, and other items to wear, in case you didn't know. That's very interesting. Do you really mean that, or are you forcing interest so you don't offend me? I look away guiltily. I do find the concept intriguing, but I personally am not interested in that kind of thing. I thought so. I just don't see the point in spending time deciding what to decorate yourself with. What you wear is a useful way to communicate information, and as long as it does that, it's fine.
Is that so?
That's a very practical way to look at it, and perhaps society would be simpler following that perspective. However, even if it's not practical, I enjoy it. Why? It looks nice. Is it that simple? For me, yes. I still don't think I would ever do something like that for myself, but I admit that you do look very nice. Thank you. I normally dress for practicality too. Being free to dress how I like is a luxury. I see. What about those drawings on your skin? I know they're called tattoos, but where did they come from? Did you draw them yourself? No, a tattoo artist did them, and they're permanent. Are they meant to relay information? Is it a code? Some people get tattoos to send a message. For me, I just think it looks nice. I think I like tattoos. It's permanent, so you only need to decide once, and it's great that some people use them to send visual messages, though that doesn't mean your reasons are bad. Piper laughs softly.
Don't worry about it.
We don't always have to have the same opinion. Oh, of course.
Goodbye.
Now it's really time for you to go to bed. Yeah. Alright, good night. Piper waves me off and I turn back to the carriage. She watches out for me to make sure I get inside, and then I close the door for the night. That's activities. I'm looking for OBS. Yeah, perfect time to save again. Make sure that I've got some good markers. Might not have a good one for one section of the episodes. I'm not sure. We'll see. Either way, though, I am trying to keep them so that way I can do half-hour episodes, because you guys know that I've done Doki Doki Literature Club. I may have mentioned back then, during Doki Doki, that I have done another visual novel before, and some of those episodes ended up being like an hour, hour and a half. One of them is actually 2 hours long, because I spent it so that way it was certain days in that game. I might want to come back to that game at some point. I have said that. I just haven't like officially decided when. So if I do, I've got to do it at some point, though. That much I know. Alright, anyways. Already almost out. Might as well finish this up, and then while I'm still here, I'll actually go quickly replace this bottle, and then we'll continue. It's actually good to stand up too.